Right, gents? Let's talk about 1,000 horsepower real quick. I did. Oh, sorry. Before we get to that, I want to give this cap away. It's an HKS limited edition. It's legitimate. It's been on my car for a long time. It's a pretty famous cap. It's been in a lot of magazines and stuff. I'm excited to give it away to one of you guys. If you haven't already, find the video I posted on my channel for this giveaway. Make sure you're subscribed and comment in the comments. Let me know you're following along. At the end of the month, on the 30th here, November, I guess a couple weeks from now, I'm going to assign everybody a number and do a random number generator, and we're going to figure out whose car this is going to go on, or wall, or whatever. Super excited. So go do that. Make sure you're subscribed, and moving on to that. Okay, 1,000 horsepower. So consider this part 3 of my kind of build vlog for you guys. The first one we did $3,000, I believe, for 400 horsepower, and then we bumped that up to 400 to 600 horsepower. You probably could have pushed it, you know, into the 7s with what we did in that video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's mildly comprehensive, at the least. Obviously, it's a lot easier to talk about this than really do it. And moving on from that, okay, so with 1,000 horsepower goal, I can't call this a budget video. You know, in that first video, we spent 3,000 bucks, which is a lot of money for, you know, most people. And we're probably into the $7,000 to $8,000 range to make close to 600. And conservatively doubling that again for today for the 1,000 horsepower goal. And the primary things you're going to be looking at are, well, honestly, really your bottom end. Turbo, intercooler, fuel, clutch, and engine management, right? So if you don't know what we did in those videos, check them out, because I'm kind of just going to add stuff. I'm trying to be as budget friendly as possible. Go enter for this cap. Okay, so the first thing and the easiest thing to get into here is the bottom end. And I'm going to recommend not necessarily a parts group or specific parts in general. I'm going to recommend that you talk to your engine builder and decide what's best between your budget, what he's comfortable building, and what your tuner is comfortable to tune with. Because at some point you guys all just have to, you know, be on the same page and jive. The tuner's got to be able to stand behind the tune and make sure it's reliable. Your engine builder's got to have to stand behind, you know, all the work he's done and the junk that's in your engine. And you got to be comfortable with spending the money you're going to have to spend for this. So you're kind of juggling, you know, 3 things. And a lot of 1,000 horsepower cars don't come to life because of failure of one of those 3 things: budget, tuner, or reliability and parts reliability. And that's what holds people back. So real quick, getting into your bottom end, 7M, kind of specific. I mean, it could cross over into some JZ stuff because it's all the same principles. Forged pistons and connecting rods, absolutely a must. There's no way around it. You're spending the money there. I'd hope that your engine is factory, so your engine builder only has to bore and hone one size up, so 20 thou over. If it's 40 thou over, that's fine. If your engine's already had a rebuild, that's cool. Just know there's no more rebuilds left on the table. If it has a catastrophic failure at this, you need to find a virgin block. So have it bored and honed no matter what. Even if your factory bores look nice, I wouldn't just have it honed. Just give the new pistons and the rings the best chance at life and sealing as possible. Rods, really up to you. ARP rod bolts are probably a must. I'm sure most manufacturers offer that as an option when you buy them. If you're not ordering them, if your engine builder is ordering your parts, make sure you keep him in the loop on the hardware you want in your engine. Upgrade to wrist pins, always a good idea. But again, it's your prerogative, right? It's your budget too, right? Personally, I would go with an upgraded wrist pin. It's a cheap part to avoid a potential catastrophic failure. When you lose a wrist pin, you lose a cylinder, you lose a rod, you lose... Just throw it all away like it's garbage. So keep that in mind when you're talking to your engine builder or you're looking to order these parts. Compression ratio, I'd recommend staying as close to factory as possible. The lower compression ratio just gives you a safety net against detonation. It's just really the conservative place to be. My engine's like a factory compression ratio. I believe it's, just converting the numbers to the cylinder pressure numbers to your compression ratio. I mean, I'm just over 8.5 to 1. And that's with a 2mm gasket, right? Head gasket. So a fair amount's been taken off the head, and my block's been lapped and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's why. It's just not a factory compression ratio. So that's something to keep in mind, right? Moving up, I guess while we're in the bottom end section, we'll stay bottom end. Billet mains are required after about 800. And you don't have to take that from me because my car's made north of 1,000 on factory mains for far too long, and I've been aware. I just like playing with fire, I guess. But that's all sorted now. The factory mains lasted, but I wouldn't recommend it. Super conservative, safe tuning. I changed the oil like 3 times this summer. I mean, I'm a stickler on maintenance and stuff like that, and I don't, for as much as I beat on it, I don't abuse it. So keep that in mind. Billet mains, ARP main stud kit, yes. Moving up, I guess, from that, you can have your block semi-filled with like a Mr. Gasket Co. They make like a concrete or whatever. Your engine builder will know all about this stuff. They built some race motors. If you do a semi-fill, so just fill it halfway, the water jackets in the block, it helps a lot with rigidity in the block and strength. Just know your cooling capacity is less. Ultimately, you fill half that galley. Pros and cons, I mean, it could be argued. You don't have to semi-fill your block. Mine's lived for a long time the way it was, and it never had a failure. It didn't crack the block along the water jackets. 7Ms are pretty famous for that. About 1200, that's where they crack, right? So, again, I'm playing with fire. But that's me. That doesn't have to be you guys. So, I'd recommend to semi-fill your block. I'm going to over winter. I think it's just a peace of mind thing for myself, not necessarily something you have to do. Upwards from that is your cylinder head. Okay, it's going to need a little massaging and some port work. You will need larger cams. I'd probably look at a BC Stage 3, like it's a 272, I can't remember the duration off my hand. Your motor is now with a Stage 3, it will be interference. Timing belts are a thing every year, don't care, change it. It's not worth throwing away your engine. For a $60 timing belt, just replace it. Oil pump, everything like that will be fine. If you can afford to go with 1mm oversized valves when you have the head done, do it. Again, your engine's an air pump. The faster and the more efficient it can get air in and out, the more power it can make. It's not rocket science. If you can swing it, definitely do it. With your large cams, you're going to need springs and retainers. That's just a thing. And shimless buckets. There's a 1 liter Toyota Vitz in Japan. I can't remember the engine code. I'm sure you could find it real quick on Google. Maybe I should have done that for you guys. Shimless buckets from factory and those things, they just slip right into the 7M head. I think the 1JZ and 2JZ as well. So get those. You will spit a shim off of a bucket with the big cams, period. Fuel, of course you're going to need more fuel. I guess we've already put 2 450s in tank with our last video we did. You should be okay with that, but you're going to want to go up to a 1200cc injector to make 1,000, probably on race gas. And bare minimum, really. If you want to go E85, double up on everything with your fuel setup. Turbos. It's a popular topic in the super community. Everybody thinks bigger is best. Depends what you want, really. I mean, I have to abuse my car on the street to make it fun to drive. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't go as big as you. I wouldn't over turbo your car, right? Don't go 86, 85 and expect it to, you know, be any fun, you know, south of 60 miles an hour, because it's just not going to happen. But I would recommend like a, I could say precision, like a 71, 75 or a 76, 75, GT42, Borg Warner S475. It's got to be in the mid 70 millimeter compressor side. Your hot side should probably be like a 115-ish to, I don't know, depends on the manufacturer. You go 115 to like 130 in your ARs on the hot side. Should give you plenty of room to exceed that 1,000 horsepower mark. It's going to be lazy, I'm going to warn you guys. It's not going to be as fun as your car was before if you had that 60 millimeter kit on there, 67 like we did in part 2. But it's just the way it is. Again, with your turbo stuff, I don't know if 1,000 horsepower has ever been made on a drift motion manifold. I don't think it has. I have no idea the highest power that's ever been made on one. Something to keep in mind, you probably need a custom unit or something like that, especially when you talk about putting a 60-pound turbocharger on it. I mean, it's got to be strong. And a custom downpipe as well. There's no way that a 3-inch inside diameter pipe's gonna flow to 1,000 horsepower. Honestly, it's a restriction after 700 wheel. Your exhaust will hold you back. So I'd recommend just to go 4-inch probably. If you're looking to go for 1,000, you need a 4-inch pipe, period. Any less, it's a restriction. Intercooler, an intake manifold, you're gonna need to change the intercooler. It's not gonna be efficient at, you know, what you're trying to get out of this thing. I mean, even with a 75 millimeter turbo, let's call it a GT42 or a 76, 75, whatever. You're probably going to be north of the 33, 34 pound mark, so it's a lot of boost. You know, a cheaper intercooler is just not gonna do the job for you. It might for a pull. Past that, there are no warranties. Intake manifold. If you did port and polish the inside of your factory intake manifold and that Q45 throttle body we had in the last video, you should get to 1,000. Excuse me. But you could go front-facing intake manifold at this point too. Your prerogative. You're gonna have to change the intercooler anyway, so I mean, really, there's no downside to not going front-facing intake manifold. It's a cool look, but not necessarily required. I know I'm leaving stuff out. Again, this is kind of just like an info dump. Keep in mind, I mean, working down the line, I mean, there's no warranty on your R154 anymore, let me tell you that. As reliable as they can be, they're not all created equal. Twin plate clutch as well. So you start to spend some money. Yeah, I mean, a good twin plate clutch will set a guy back $3 easy. I mean, $4 for a super nice setup. Get your one-piece drive shaft, pull your rear subframe, brace it, solid subframe bushings, whatever. I mean, you cannot, to make 1,000 horsepower reliable, you can't cut any corner. Horsepower is like water. It'll find the path of least resistance, and whatever path is the weakest will be the way the power exits. It won't be reliable, let me tell you. I hope that answered some of your questions for you guys. I know there's tons more. I mean, we could get into like standalone, additional sensors, knock control, ignition setup, stuff like that. We can get into all of it. I just don't think you guys want to watch an hour video and you know, whatever. So if there's little things that you want more information on, things I may have overlooked or breezed past rather quickly, let me know. We'll touch on those things, or even in the comments, ask your question. I answer everybody's questions generally, I think anyway. I mean, again, it's a conversation topic. There is no one-size-fits-all 1,000 horsepower build thing. Work with your engine builder, work with your tuner. Ultimately, those guys do this stuff every single day, and if they come trusting, and you know, you guys have a decent relationship, you know, from the past, or you know somebody that's worked with them, it just makes it easier to be more comfortable talking to them and taking their advice. And that's really all I got. So hopefully we see some more 1,000 horsepower 7Ms out there. I know I'd like to see that. Long live the 7M. See you guys.